We have about 5 minutes till 5 o'clock, but there is coffee and donuts right outside in the lobby area. So if you'd like to help yourself, and feel free to just have a little snack before the meeting starts.
opening items. Number one, call to order.
Trustees present this evening are Trustee Alvarado, Trustee Calderon, Trustee Pacheco, Trustee Contreras, and Trustee Magallanes. You have a full quorum.
Thank you. Number two, Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Padulo, can you help us with that? Guide us? Thank you. Thank you. B, presentation. Number one, school safety and the impact of social media. Mr. Jimenez?
Thank you, Madam President. Good afternoon, Board of Trustees and members of the audience, and welcome to the special board meeting of the Calexico Unified School District. Today's agenda centers on a critical and timely topic: school safety and the impact on social media. In recent years, we have seen how social media can both positively and negatively influence our school environment, affecting mental health, communications, and at times contributing to safety concerns. As a district, we are committed to fostering a safe and supportive learning environment for every student, which requires us to address the evolving challenges posed by digital platforms, specifically in regards to the proliferation of threats that are being made against schools on social media throughout the country. During this meeting, we will discuss current trends, risks, and opportunities related to social media, along with systems and procedures we implement in Calexico Unified School District to enhance our safety across our campuses. We will provide a presentation on safety and the impact on social media, followed by an opportunity for members of our community to present their comments and concerns. For all of our members of our community, everyone here in this room tonight, we appreciate and value your participation and your input. School safety is a community effort. It takes all of us. It is really all hands on deck. And your cooperation and participation as a community is vital to accomplishing the most successful and safe schools that we can have. I would like to thank and introduce Mr. Jorge Hernandez, our Director of School Safety, Ms. Alex Limon, our Director of Community Schools, and Ms. Elisa Ramirez, our Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, for working diligently and preparing today's presentation. I would also like to recognize and introduce some of our community partners who provide us with professional guidance, assistance, and support through the programs in their areas of expertise. Present here tonight and part of our presentation will be, present here tonight is our Calexico Police Department and Calexico Unified School District Resource Officer, Officer Miriam Vega. Vega, I thought there you are, back there. Calexico Police Department Chief of Police, Chief Orozco. Oh. Our school safety partners with ICOE, Director of Safety and Wellness, Mr. Alvaro Ramirez. Mr. Ramirez. And an organization that provides mission-critical support for the well-being of our students and families throughout our communities, Imperial Valley Behavioral Health Services Department, Deputy Director of Child and Adolescent Outpatient Services, Mr. Jose Lepes, and Behavioral Managers, Ms. Jessica Pineda and Ms. Priscila Patiño. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen of our audience and board members, at this time we're going to start with our presentation. And I got the clicker here. George, oh, turn it on.
Esteemed members of the board and the public, I'm happy that you are here on this very important occasion, informative occasion, hopefully, for some of you. our first slide here is since September the 7th, after the shooting in Georgia, there was a significant increase in social media threats. There was over a 200% increase after the shooting in Georgia. And what we have here are some examples, local examples of the social media threats that we're talking about. Some of them are fully in writing, some are photographs with writing, and you can see they're local, and one was from Boston, Massachusetts, which is the website email notification ISIS threat. That was traced all the way to Boston, Massachusetts, for a young man who was already on the FBI watch list. Very young man. However, I believe he was from the Ukraine area and has done this before. Also, when we've seen these incidents before, it's usually in a cluster. There's a real shooting, let's say in Georgia on the 7th, and right after that, there's kind of a little snowball effect of similar threats. And that's what we have scrawled on the bathroom wall. And we also have with no writing, a photograph where there is an implied threat, meaning there's a replica handgun or what appears to be a real handgun in a young man's pocket. And that's there on your lower right.
And one of the things, board members and members of the audience, that we want to impress on tonight is we take every threat serious. We don't take anything for granted. We don't assume off the bat that it's not a credible threat. Everything is investigated. One of the big challenges that we have, though, is when everything is first almost presented on social media first before the district even knows about it or before even law enforcement knows about it. So one of the points that as Officer Hernandez is pointing out here, one of these threats, the one on website email, as he said, when there was a threat on Calexico High School specifically, it was ultimately we determined, working with the FBI, that it was not a threat for Calexico High School, but actually originated in, I don't know how far Boston is from here, but hundreds of miles away. Another threat that we have up here is just a very recent one on your top right corner. And this is a threat that many of you probably have seen last week, where it said that there was going to be some horrible things conducted, and it was going to happen in 3 phases, and they were going to pull the fire alarm, and then, you know, people were going to do really bad things. Once that threat was traced, because there's ways of being able to trace it working with law enforcement, that threat actually originated in Arizona, again, in a completely different state. In both of these incidents, we were kind of like the last to know. It was being posted on social media before Calexico Police Department was notified, or before the district was notified. So sometimes we're reacting to something that's circulating on social media, and sometimes that hinders somewhat of our response, because had we known hours before when that person first saw it, the first person who saw it, had they notified the school or the school district or law enforcement, we would have had that many more hours to already start working on it. The one on your top right corner, I was notified by one of our employees who has a friend who's on a WhatsApp social group with other parents. And it was circulating, and as you see an example over there, it says, "Buenas noches. You know, my daughter got this message. Do any of you have this message?" So that message was circulating on social media. Unfortunately, I got it like around 9 o'clock at night. immediately contacted Officer Vega, Mr. Hernandez, our safety team, the school site, but it was already going to be, actually, it was going to be like 10 o'clock already at night. Had we received it earlier in the morning when that first post was made, we would have had that many more hours to get on top of it. And as Officer Hernandez points out there, the one with the gun, that's actually, that looks like a real gun, right? It looks like a real gun. That's actually, I think it's green and orange plastic gun. But it was posted in black and white. So the way you see it up there, it really looks like a real gun. And it is concerning and alarming, right? When you see something like that. The barrel of the gun is broken, but that's concealed, right? It's disguising that it's a broken plastic gun, right? So one of the things that as we go through the presentation here, and we've got several other examples to show you, is that while we don't take anything for granted, and while we are going to investigate absolutely everything, we oftentimes know hours after other people know. And that's one of the things that we want to, be able to communicate here today. We've got a PSA from the FBI, a public service announcement, where it says, notify law enforcement, right? Notify the authorities so that they could work on this rather than reposting it and reposting and reposting it. As you can see, especially when there's messages that they're not even nowhere near about us, but it gets reposted as if they were.
And it really makes us less effective. Ideally, when we receive a threat like this, we want to assess it and then react. When we receive it late, we're often reacting while we're assessing, or we're reacting and then we assess afterwards, and it's really backwards. It really hinders the investigation, and it really wastes resources. It panics people unnecessarily. There's a variety of negative connotations or issues when we reserve or reverse the process like that. When we receive them, we automatically assume, or we work, okay, this is the real thing. And then we start almost like reverse engineering it. We're looking at evidence in the photo. There's a search engine I use where I grasp that image and I enter it and see if it's been duplicated anywhere else earlier or from the past. When we're reacting, it's very hard to hold on to our resources or be more pragmatic when the cat's already out of the bag and people are very worried or scared. Then we have to react on that. And a majority of times, it hinders the process. If we can go to the, are we done with these slides, sir?
Yeah.
These next are examples of how we receive these threats. Sometimes it's just a photo. Sometimes it's a photo only. Sometimes it's writing only. And these young men and women, when they do these, are kind of smart in a way where they make it very vague. They use acronyms, like for the high school, where it can be applied to many high schools in the country. So when people read that, they assume, oh, it's here, it's in Calapat, it's in Calexico High School, Calabasas High School, Coalinga. I mean, the acronyms are very common, and they're like that on purpose, okay? If they listed a lot of detail, it would be very easy to say, oh, that's not here. But they make them very vague, and unfortunately, right after a shooting, people are very, and understandably so, very quick to jump and say, oh, this is here, because they're afraid, and we understand that. However, like I said, it does hinder the process. And here we have some of these are local and some of these are not.
And we did an acronym search, for example, and if you type in CHS, you would come up for over 200 acronyms for CHS. So if you see a threat that has CHS, our assumption, right, we immediately go to Calexico High School. But there's over 200 acronyms with CHS. Many of them other high schools. Many of them are not schools at all. It's a company name or another organization. So if you see the one on your left right here, where it says "That's crazy," there's an acronym there. This happened last week as well with our neighboring school district. It says BUHS, Brawley Unified High School, right? So BUHS, you know, they were very concerned, and their community went to work, put it on overdrive to address this concern. However, it was never about their high school. It was about a school in another state. This one happened to be in Arizona.
Buckeye, Arizona.
Buckeye. So again, you'll see also some patterns here where some of these threats will say, "Don't go to school tomorrow," right? Close school tomorrow. Sometimes the intentions are just to create that fear or to create that interference, right? That interruption. That's why the soonest law enforcement hears about something in the school district, the sooner we learn about something, the faster we are able to start. Because believe you me when I tell you, we don't waste a minute when we get a message like this. We don't, I've got something else to do. I've got a meeting I got to go to. I'll come back and do this an hour from now or 2 hours from now. Everything stops, and that's part of the problem, right? That the world stops so we could address this, right? And then after spending however much time we spent working on it to come find out that it was about another state 500 miles away or another state 100 miles away or for something else completely different. We want to know, we have to know, we need to know, right? But we should be one of the first to know once anybody in the public sees it.
Time is really of the essence in these investigations. The sooner we're assessing the validity of it, the sooner we'll have an answer whether it's a credible or non-credible threat. That obviously dictates our response. If it's a non-credible threat, we might have some extra patrol out there, some subdued precautions that aren't visible to the regular person in the public. It's a subdued response. However, we will have some extra monitoring, extra eyes out there. If it's a credible threat, obviously we're going to be working with our law enforcement partners and addressing that issue. We're not going to give a lot of details on the tactics or strategies that we use when we do that. However, we'll give you hopefully a general overview of what our investigations entail. And these are some other non-local threats with weapons. And a weapon is the big attention grabber. So I don't have to have any words. I can have a young man with a ski mask and a weapon, and we can come up with 100 ways that's a threatening image, okay, especially in today's climate.
In the next slide that we're going to show, we're actually going to show one of our investigations and how we were able to identify through the search engine of, in this particular case. So as you guys know, I don't think anything that we put online or we put in social media is a secret, right? Ultimately, everything could be tracked, everything could be traced. And so here's a case that we had where this individual was searching, and for the untrained eye, I didn't know that what a G17 was, right, or a G19 was, or the G19 slide is, right. Mr. Hernandez has over 32 years of law enforcement experience, and together with Calexico Police Department, with Officer Vega, our chief of police, they saw this right away, and they saw that this is referring to guns and gun parts. Obviously, the one on your right talks about how to make bombs, how to make dirty bombs, and so by us being able to track the history of a search engine, we're able to identify the potential threat. This had not reached to become a threat yet. There was no direct threat made, but obviously the implied threat of someone within of a student within our school district doing these kinds of searches is a great concern. In this matter, for example, we were able to identify the threat, identify the student, and take immediate action, working with their parents and the required consequences that are required to have on this matter.
If you notice, these are regular Google searches, eBay searches, Amazon searches on the two left. So parents at home, when we're monitoring our children's internet use, a history check is very easy to do, and if they would have done one on this young man's laptop, that's what they would have found.
That's another thing that we'd like to impress as well, is how important it is to monitor young people's online activity, right? Not assuming that it's all innocent or there's nothing nefarious going on, because there's a lot of temptation out there, right? And sometimes it's grabbed through very innocent ways, but it leads to very dangerous activity, like how to make a dirty bomb. This, by the way, I'm able to share, it was at an elementary school. So you might be thinking this is a high school or junior high school. It's not only high school or junior high school. This is an elementary school students. We're providing the resources, the support to try to address this type of thinking right here. But it even starts very young. So monitoring, students' online social media accounts, their internet history, where they're visiting, what they're doing, is critically important.
The gaming also. I have two boys who are adults now, but I mean, ever since Call of Duty and Battlefield and you name it, they knew the names of all these weapons, because the weapons that are used on the video game are actual weapons. And so they knew, they would, hey, Dad, AK-47, this thing. How do you know about that? From the video games, okay? They don't have to be exposed in real life, but they are armed with the knowledge that they can communicate weapon components. They can try to purchase weapon components. And where we are on the border, it doesn't really mean that they're going to do something violent, but we do know that weapons from here end up in Mexico all the time and are used in the violence that's happening over there every day. And the people down there are purchasing the weapons here and the weapon components, and they're using straw buyers, illegal buyers, maybe like this young man, to get that done. So it's not just the violent, that they might do something violent. There's a whole myriad of violations or ways that they can get in trouble.
In this next slide, so we shared some examples of real, actual threats made against schools. I wanted to go over that and kind of set the stage. In this next slide, we're going to share the measures that in Calexico Unified School District, adding with our partnerships to address our school safety posture in Calexico Unified. So Officer Mr. Hernandez and Chief Orozco are going to talk about, Mr. Hernandez is going to talk about our programs here in Calexico Unified, and Chief Orozco is going to talk about our partnership and collaboration in addressing school safety.
These are the agencies that we work with on a regular basis, and maybe not on all cases do we work with all agencies. However, we worked with all these agencies regularly, and I'm going to start on the left, U.S. Border Patrol. I'm sorry, on top, Calexico Police Department is a primary. My go-to agency when I need resources or guidance on something, that's where I go. And from there, we do have help from the U.S. Border Patrol, who responds, mutual aid. Whenever we need extra bodies, they're always there to help us. Training-wise, district-wide proactive close patrol, mutual aid, and special enforcement details. Right next to them is the Department of Corrections. Also helps us with district-wide protective close patrol, mutual aid, and special enforcement details. Allow us the use of their canines for firearm and anti-drug sweeps. The Probation Department helps us with personnel, district-wide proactive close patrol, mutual aid, and special enforcement details. We also have the San Diego Law Enforcement Coordination Center. Very helpful to me. Case analysis, behavioral analysis, information sharing. They have some very advanced technical software that they help us with. Behavioral analysis and threat assessment. And Homeland Security also kind of helps us with the same thing. Behavioral analysis, threat assessment, advanced technical expertise. And also the FBI is in that group. And they're the ones that actually helped us out with the Boston, Massachusetts threat. They actually had their agents in Boston contact this young man and interview him and get us all the information that we need. And up on the upper right, you see the VA's office. Criminal cases that we need guidance with, or legal updates, case analysis, and they're a big help also. And this is only a small portion of the resources that we have at hand at any given time.
And so if you're wondering, so you guys get a book or a pamphlet? No, we're talking about real agents. We're talking about, real, law enforcement personnel that are here physically when we need them, and where we've called to them. And in my time here in Calexico, there's been a couple cases, not that many, but you don't want to have one of these cases. But when we do need them, they're here. They're here in person, providing their support, their expertise, and they're out there when we need them to be at certain places. So I know Chief Orozco was going to talk a little bit about our partnership and collaboration and the police department's procedures in general. I know they can't get into too many details or reveal too much information, but just what Calexico PD, how they collaborate with the school district. Chief?
Good afternoon, everybody. So first, like Superintendent said, we take every complaint serious until we dispel the actual threat. Automatically, we get obviously people from the community that either pass it to the school resource officer, to one of our officers, or straight to dispatch. We immediately start making phone calls. We notify our school resource officer, and we immediately contact the FBI. They're our number one partner when it comes to these type of complaints, and they have the far, as you saw, all the way to Boston. And we've had some in, I think last year was Philadelphia or Georgia,
Right around there.
something around there. Same thing. So a lot of the times, until we dispute these, that they're out of range and that the public is not in danger, we act like it's the real thing. It's best to treat it like the real thing and then dispel it versus, just treat it lightly and then turn out to be wrong. So we'd rather deal with it as its actual threat. Plus, it also shows and sends a message to the public and to the people that are making this that we don't take it lightly. When they see that we reach out all the way to Boston and we knock on your door and we show them that, you're not going to threaten our people here in Calexico because knock, 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 welcome to Boston, they're going to be talked to. It sends a loud message, and it's something that we also need the help of the public to come forward. Like Superintendent said, let us know right away so we can get started and we get ahead of the game. And as you see, we have all these great partners that come out and they all take it just as serious as we do. FBI has helped us on several cases. HSI has helped us out. I can't go into detail as far as how they do it, but we can track photographs, we can track emails, the stuff that they do is pretty amazing. So that's one thing I want to impart with you folks, that our partners and the police department are taking it serious and we're able to track it down, and that until we dispute or disprove it that it's just a hoax, we take it serious. And if we need to bring in partners just to drive around, undercover, just to be on the safe side, that's what we'll do. At this point, we can all agree price is no object. I'll talk to my city council later and say sorry, but you know what? Our children are number one, and they back me up. That when it comes to things like this, they would rather us be caution on the safe side than to say sorry for the different reason. So what else did we talk about? So FBI, Homeland Security, again, another great partner. They help. If what FBI can't do, they help us out. They're far-reaching. They have officers all over the country as well. And again, probation, they help us with sweeps. They know who's here. Sometimes if it's something local, they'll come and they'll help us out. Again, can't say enough about the CDCR, Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. I'm sure you've heard of the canine sweeps we've been doing at the high school. We've done it now 2 years now. And I used to do it when I was a canine handler, and it would take me, I would start at 8 in the morning. I wouldn't get done till 1, and I've seen that these guys will do it in an hour. And they bring in 9 dogs, and they hit it hard before the kids have a chance to, send the text out that, hey, they're here. And, it's very efficient, and I'm very, very pleased with the assistance that they've given us. Of course, we couldn't do our job without the help of the U.S. Border Patrol. They're our lifeline whenever we need extra resources. It's not if they're going to help us, is how many you need and how soon. So just, something that I wanted to impress, that, we have all these great partners. It's not just Calexico PD, it's the state and federal government behind you guys. Okay.
Thank you, Chief. Really appreciate that. And that's one of the things, as he talked about Georgia and Philadelphia and Boston and Arizona. Anybody from anywhere in the world with access to the internet could send a threat to anywhere in the world, right? With a matter of seconds, right? Just by the click of the button, we could get a threat from anywhere in the world. And even at that, as almost impossible as that might sound, every time that it's happened, we fully investigate it, right? But we want to investigate it with our eyes and ears wide open, right? We want to investigate it with every bit of information we could get immediately, right? And as soon as possible. We don't want to investigate it, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but we don't want to investigate it 2, 3, 4, 5 hours or the next day after there's this threat has been circulating in the community. So one thing also I'd like to point out is that the K9 unit that we put in service doesn't only detect drugs, but it also detects weapons. So these are highly specialized K9 units that are also able to sniff out weapons as well. So that's wanted to share that with the community as well. Our next slide that we're moving into is district programs and services and resources, and Ms. Alex Limon will help us get through this slide.
So good evening, Alejandra Limon, Director of Community Schools. we're very fortunate to have the support of our law enforcement partners. But additionally, behind the scenes, once executive cabinet, and that's the superintendent and assistant superintendents, are informed of a potential threat, we start to immediately look at our own inside services that we have. And so we have our safety department with the director, Jorge Hernandez, and our school safety officer, Miriam Vega. They have the district safety and response, and they look at threat assessments, they do welfare checks. So immediately once we saw, if there is someone attached, and by someone it could be an adult, a student, whoever it may be, if there's someone attached, we start with the safety department. And we start to look at our plans, we start to look at what we've talked about. We have a district safety committee. If some of you are on there, you know that we take this seriously and we discuss this with you and we share these things with you. And then we have communications and parent training, and again, we work with law enforcement agencies, coordination and outreach. Then there's the Family Resource Center, which is the area that I'm in charge of, and we work with communications. So whenever you receive, and we'll go over that also, whenever you receive a letter, it's from our department and the technology department. We're working on that already behind the scenes, and we'll go into that just shortly. We have licensed clinical social workers. We support crisis response. We have a homeless and foster facilitators, the MVP Student Wellness Center that's going to open up soon. We have parent training, and then we have district cafecitos that are led by our Director of State and Federal Projects, that's Ms. Lisa Huerta Price, and the last one was actually on safety. And so we invite our community to come over to us and let us know what's going on. We listen to everything that you let us know, and that's how we also craft our plans. So again, we take all of this into consideration. And then we have the CUSD MTSS, those are multiple tiers of support. Coordinator, Ms. Jessica Matthey, she works with sites on positive behavior interventions and supports, site attendance campaigns, because if kids are in school, it's a good thing. They're learning and they're safe. We have the district attendance committee, we have the district discipline committee, and again, we're also giving staff and parent workshops. And then we have the Department of Special Education with the director, Dennis Price. We have the district psychologists, the site psychologists, and case managers. They head the crisis response team, and they are pivotal. They help us with many, many things, the crisis team, and we're very lucky to have them. And then Mr. Price and his team also provide CPI and CPR staff trainings, and they also assist with threat assessments. So they're the ones that if we think that there's a child that might have an issue that needs to be looked into, they conduct a threat assessment to determine whether or not the threat is credible or non-credible. So we work very closely with them. And then we have the expanded learning. The expanded learning program, it's led by Director Esmeralda Garcia and Coordinator Erica Hermosillo. They have the CUSD Wellness Program that works with high school students to give them training and support and work. We also have professional development with their staff on trauma-informed services. And they provide an after-school program with curriculum and enrichment to make sure that our students have somewhere to go after school, somewhere safe. Okay. All of this is focused on safety. And then we have our school sites. We go to the school sites every day. And who do we have there? We have our site administrators. All the school sites have counselors and psychologists. They have site safety and reunification plans. So when you're asking, well, what are we going to do after? There is a plan. There is a plan in place at each site on how we're going to reunify you with your children. We know it's important because we're parents too. Okay? We are parents also. And so what you feel, believe me, we feel it too. And that's why it's a priority. It's critical for us to get that information to you as well. We have PBIS and attendance programs at every site. They also have cafecitos and parent workshops. And then we have the new Community Schools Initiative, where we will be receiving funding to support our parents, to support our students with more programs that focus on social and emotional health, okay, and other things here and there. But those sites will be Willie Moreno, Dole, Maines, and Rockwood. And then we are also in the process of hiring child welfare and attendance specialists. Right now we have one at Aurora, and hopefully soon, within the month, we'll have 2 at the Family Resource Center that will start working with our families as well. And then we have our partners, which are very important to us as well. And I'm going to introduce our first one. He's from the Imperial County Office of Education, the Director of Safety and Wellness, Alvaro Ramirez.
Good evening, Superintendent Jimenez, trustees from the board and Calexico community. My name is Alvaro Ramirez. I'm the Director of Safety and Wellness with Imperial County Office of Education. And really my role with Imperial County Office of Education is bifurcated into two. One, we provide direct support for our student programs, and two, we are here as a resource for our entire educational community in Imperial County. Dr. Fennell has made it very clear that we are here to be a resource and a partner in any way that we can. What drives our work is the belief that there is no better way for us to prevent a tragedy at any of our campuses than to ensure that our students, staff, and the community are doing well both physically and mentally. And really all the work that Ms. Limon was talking about, how are those partnerships on how we can ensure that students are doing as well as possible. That being said, we must be ready to respond to emergencies. And that is the other role that we play in trying to figure out different ways, different initiatives on what we can do to keep our students and our staff as safe as possible. One of the networks that we host is a quarterly meeting that we call Imperial Valley Safe Schools, where we bring together school safety practitioners from across the county, along with our public safety partners and other non-governmental organizations, to think of ways and strategies to figure out of how we can do a better job of keeping our students safe. Not coincidentally, and actually well before all of these threats happened, we do have monthly or presentations at each of these meetings. And one of our next guests is actually the FBI that's going to talk about a project that they have specifically on a keyword search to help us identify these cases as early as possible. It's been said time and time again, the idea is early intervention. How can we intervene as early as possible? Can we figure out the students that are in need as early as possible so we can deploy the right resources to help out? But again, Dr. Todd has made it clear that we are here to be a resource and a partner for Calexico and our entire Imperial County. So anything that you need, sir, board, Calexico community, please reach out and let us know. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez.
And so we did reach out, and they did support us. And because of their reach and their ability to talk to the other districts, we were able to then look and say, oh, okay, that's not towards our district. Oh, okay, that's coming from this area. So they have connections that we may not, and that's why it's important to have all of these partnerships. Our next partnership is with the Imperial County Department of Behavioral Health, and we have the Deputy Director of Children and Adolescent Services, Jose Lepe. But our presenter today will be Jessica Pineda.
Good evening, everybody. Jessica Pineda. I am the Behavioral Health Manager for the Mental Health Triage and Engagement Services. Here today, we oversee, I have my colleague here, Priscilla Patiño, we oversee a very critical unit. I oversee the Crisis Care Mobile Unit and also Casa Serena, and she also collaborates by overseeing the triage unit, the mental health triage unit, which was formerly known as our crisis unit within Imperial County. And these units work together very closely with our school district and our community. And our crisis care mobile units work directly with our education system, providing direct support to them and immediate response to all schools within Imperial County to alleviate any crisis situations whenever the request for any support. One of the things that we did encounter in speaking with this topic or on this subject is that a lot of the information that is out on social media creates a lot of anxiety to not just the students, the community, and also the parents. And so what we have to say to the community is that everyone here that works collaboratively together, we are working together, and there is a plan, as everyone has mentioned, to ensure that the community, not only the community, but also that the students are safe. And so in working together, we make sure our end is to make sure that these individuals don't suffer from anxiety, or we try to de-escalate situations where, they may be afraid. It causes a lot of anxiety. It causes a lot of individuals wanting to isolate, not wanting to go to school, a lot of family members not wanting to send their children to schools because of the fear of what's presented in social media. And sometimes it is really important that we are able to distinct what are credible resources or what is the credible information that is being set by our officials, such as law enforcement or our school officials that are informing the community of any, situations that arise. But we, as an entity for Imperial County Behavioral Health, specifically with our mental health triage and engagement services, if it's not through our children's outpatient clinic that is contacting our division, or the schools or law enforcement calling or contacting our division specifically, we're always readily available to respond and provide that immediate service to our community, not just Calexico, but everyone within Imperial County.
So as you can see, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. We have our partners with law enforcement, and then we have our own systems going on during the school day and after the school day as well, because believe me, when something like this goes through, we are up most of the night trying to figure out whether that threat is credible or not.
Thank you very much, Ms. Leon. So we've gone over a lot of the programs and services, the partnerships, the strategies that we use within the Calexico Unified School District and in the Calexico community. This next slide right here, we're going to present our school safety management systems that we also have implemented and employ towards providing safe school environments. Mr. Hernandez?
Briefly, all these services that we have under contract, starting with Raptor, and all these are geared to or have components, safety components in them. Raptor is pretty much a staple here in the county. It helps secure our sites and rerouting visitors to the main office and keeping track of visitors on our campuses. Catapult is also another staple. It allows us to offer anonymous tip reporting. We manage our drills. The school sites manage our drills. Lots of information on this database, and it's connected directly to EMS services. Alice Response Program is our basically run, hide, fight. In essence, it's responses to an intruder or violent intruder on campus. And last but not least is the K-9 services supplied by Calexico Police and California Department of Corrections, random K-9 detection, firearms, and narcotics sweeps. And all these they work together. They're always on duty. We go home at night to sleep, most of us. But these work round the clock, okay? And that brings us to the standard response protocol, which I believe is in use countywide. And this is a more simplified, common language protocol that allows us to hold, secure, lock down, evacuate, and shelter in place. And each one of these has the components to whether it is an armed intruder or a dangerous intruder or something that's happening off campus but near enough to cause some concern for the students and staff.
And next, we have our online communication platforms. We want to share this with the community because communication at any time is very important, but communication during an emergency is very, very important. Being able to communicate. So we have a variety of platforms that we send out communications to our community. and these could be for positive things like a school assembly or graduation or a community Christmas parade, but we also use the same platforms to communicate during emergencies.
Well, before you go to the next one, just so that our parents know, this was sent out to our parents last year. So you should have received a copy of this so that you could go over what the steps are and you're aware. If you did not, let your school site know. Okay, let them know. But this is something that you can actually go on a website and you can see what the steps are also, okay? So that can be part of, you know, how you understand what each step is, okay? But that was given out to all of our parents last year. Okay, in regards to online communication platforms, we have Catapult, which is the anonymous reporting tip line. And just so that you all know, with all of these threats that were non-credible threats that were online on WhatsApp and on Facebook and on everywhere else, we got one person to let us know on Catapult, one person to let us know that there were these things that were going on, these messages that were going on. And then that's when we started finding out. We started finding out through other groups that this was going on. So Catapult is there on our webpage, you know, so that you can go in there. We can immediately respond to you on there as well. So we can have one-on-one communication with you. And that goes directly to all of our district safety teams. So we're able to see that immediately at all hours of the night. Believe me, it wakes me up. So at all hours of the night, we can see it. Chief Orozco can see it. Mr. Hernandez can see it. Mr. Jimenez can see it. We can see it there. We cannot see it on WhatsApp. We cannot see it on Facebook. We cannot see it. That's where you need to report. Then we have our CUSD website. Our directory is there, so you can always send us an email, you know, if there's a question that you might have. For our parents, we have Remind. So you'll see, and if you don't have a Remind account, this is important. Remind is where we're going to send you these emails or these communications, these messages of what's occurring. We have the ability to immediately send out something if it's credible. You know, we'll send it out through Remind to the school site that it's affecting. We may not send it out immediately to everyone, but to the school site that it's affecting, we will send out a message through Remind. So if you don't have a Remind account, right now is the time to set up your Remind account. We have the school site Facebook and Instagram. Everything that we put out, it's always on the web page. So if you forget where it was, it will always be on the web page. It will go out on Remind. We have over 23,000 subscribers.
Over 23,000 subscribers.
23,000 subscribers on Remind. And then we have our Facebook page and our Instagram page. And last, we have Parent View. So if you don't have a phone number that is current on Parent View, it's going to affect how you get messages. And that is different types of phone numbers. So make sure you check your Parent View account and make sure that your emergency contacts are up to date and your phone number is up to date. Because in the event that we have to reunify you with your child, if we don't have the emergency contact up to date, your phone number up to date, or your name, or who can have access to your child up to date, we will stay with your child until we get that all rectified. So that's really, really important. But these are the ways that we communicate with the community, with our parents, with our staff. With our staff, we also send out an email, you know, with the information as well. And so this last week, these were some of the communications that we sent out. We sent out one when it had to do with Enrique Camarena. That was a non-credible threat. We sent out one for Calexico High School. That was a non-credible threat. And then we finally, on the one right in the middle, we asked for the support of the community. We need your support. Each and every one of you is important. You are also a part of this system. So we need your support in letting us know what's happening. Because the faster you let us know, the faster you're going to get one of these letters telling you it is non-credible. We went through all that process that you just saw, so that we can give you this, because we go on fact. We go on fact. Okay, so when Chief Orozco, when the FBI, when the law enforcement partners let us know this is non-credible, okay, now we can let our community know it's non-credible. Okay, so this means that we have already done our homework. Okay, and then of course the very last one, those are debriefings. So Mr. Hernandez and Officer Vega, they have debriefings as well. Right now, this could be considered part of our debriefing as well, but they do hold debriefings when there's other community things going on.
And this is more outreach that we've done in the past. We were having an issue with the fight videos, the viral fight videos, where people were forwarding these videos with minors involved in fights, and in essence rewarding the people who were recording the videos, because that's what they wanted. They wanted more views, and they were getting more views on a lot of times on behalf of the parents who were forwarding these videos under the guise of making people aware. Okay, that has a negative impact. Okay, if you're gonna forward a video like that involving minors, forward it to law enforcement, forward it to administration who could actually investigate it and get to the bottom of it, not to a group of parents who really can't do anything about it other than let each other know. Okay, we all know fights happen at schools sometimes, so this making people aware, to me, it's kind of a flimsy excuse. The real motive, I'm not sure, but it does encourage these young men and women who are staging fights and recording fights. It encourages them. Maybe not on the front end, but on the back end, because they're getting the views and the notoriety or whatever it is that they're seeking at that point. One of those bulletins covers that. The other one covers also the threat videos or the threat messages, what to do, what not to do. We don't have a problem with a member of the public wanting to inform, but inform the people that can investigate it and get the answers that you want, that you need. If I'm just forwarding a video for views, I'm not really accomplishing anything except forwarding a fight video. Okay, we did look at possible criminal complaints, which I met with the district attorney. We're still in talks about that. If you're forwarding a video with minors, there could be some consequences there. If you're forwarding it to the wrong person, wrong entity, okay? And all these are just to stop and think before we upload or download a threat video, a fight video. Why are we doing it? What is our purpose? What are we trying to accomplish? If we're trying to create awareness, who or what, there is no better place to start than with either law enforcement or school administration. And this is the last notice that we sent out, and it's basically explaining what to do with the threat if you receive it. Do not share the video or threat. Sharing harmful content spreads damage. Report it instead to authorities. Okay. Report the video to the platform. Let Facebook know, hey, you have a fight video with minors, so they can take it down. Notify school officials. Contact law enforcement, like I said, with the business line, unless it's an emergency, obviously 911. Talk with your child. That's probably should be number one. About empathy, showing harmful content, placing content online, and the repercussions that might entail. and encourage other parents to do the same thing. Talk with their children and report to the proper authorities.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you.
So on this right here, it's actually a PSA, a public service announcement from the FBI, and it's called a Think Before You Post. And so this is right off of the FBI's website. They provide really valuable information, I think, even for parents on cybersecurity safety, and you know, especially in talking with our children, our students, about, you know, posting threats that they might think is anonymous or no one will ever find out. They actually have some examples on this webpage where students at schools posted threats. They were identified and actually were arrested, charged, and convicted of a crime, and you know, in jail for doing so. And then they have what should I do, right? What should I as a community member, what should I as a parent do? And we have copies of this flyer from the FBI's website. And so you can know that we're all asking and requesting and sharing the same information. Right in the FBI's website, it says, what should I do? And there's a number of different things. Don't ever post or send any hoax threats online, period. If you are a target of an online threat, alert your local law enforcement immediately. If you see a threat of violence posted on social media, immediately contact law enforcement or your local FBI office. Members of the public can always submit a tip to the FBI at tips.fbi.gov. Notify authorities, but don't share or forward the threat until law enforcement has had a chance to investigate. This can spread misinformation and cause panic. And so I encourage everyone here to take this flyer home and read it more carefully. And then also for any of our community members who are joining us online right now through our YouTube channel, you could download straight from the FBI's page. There is a quick, it's a 30-second video that we're going to play from this PSA.
At the time, I just wasn't thinking. I used social media to vent. I wish I would have thought about the effects of scaring people. I didn't mean for that to happen. People took it as a terrorist threat. The university got shut down. I got arrested by the FBI. And now, I don't know what my future looks like. I search my name on the web almost every day and look at the stuff. It's not going away. Think before you post.
Thank you. So this is it's a serious matter, and I want to thank the board for bringing us together as a community and for asking for this special board meeting. We already have a board meeting on Thursday, but our school board wanted to address this as soon as possible and not miss another day. So when we were having these issues last week, I believe it was Wednesday or Thursday, that our school board said we need to address this as soon as possible because people could get hurt, and this could create a dangerous situation. Obviously, if the threat is credible, but also if the threat is non-credible. So I do want to thank the school board for bringing our community together and requesting that we have this special board meeting today on Monday. Our last part of the presentation is this is a community feedback. If you take a picture of this QR code, it would take you to a survey, and the survey has these 4 basic questions. What schools do your children attend? What are your greatest concerns? What can I, as a parent, what can I do as an involved parent? And how can the school district more effectively address your concerns. What can we do to more effectively address your concerns? I want to leave you with the message that we care, that we listen to you, that we value your input and your feedback to us. And it does take a village, and it's all hands on deck, like I said at the beginning. So the more we work together and support each other, the best schools we're going to have here in Calexico Unified School District. So with that, Madam President and board members, concludes our presentation. I know that we do have an opportunity for members of the audience to provide a comment at the podium, and then we also have an opportunity for our school board to express their thoughts as well in this board meeting. So, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Jimenez, and thank you everyone who helped us with this presentation. Before I move on to C, I just want to remind everyone that if you guys want to comment, si alguien quiere comentar, solamente tiene que llenar este papelito y puede comentar algo público, y creo que este es un momento muy bueno porque estamos aquí como administración, como la comunidad, oficiales y personas que puedan contestar su pregunta inmediata. So, solamente llenando este papelito. Gracias. C, comments from the public. The board will take any and all comments from the public related to the sole items on the agenda. Stacy Holguín.
Buenas tardes, miembros del board, padres, directores. Mi mensaje va a ser en español, ya que es mi primer idioma, espero no haya ningún problema. Antes que nada, gracias por la oportunidad de darnos la información. Gracias a todas las instituciones que están apoyando. Sabemos el trabajo que están haciendo por nuestros niños. Y hoy voy a hablar en representación no solamente de mis niños, que tengo en 3 escuelas, sino de las 7 escuelas, 2 juniors y la high school. Vemos mucho trabajo en el área de las instituciones que nos apoyan, vemos mucho diferentes servicios de salud mental, diferentes servicios que vienen y nos apoyan, pero ahorita venimos a solicitar más apoyo en la infraestructura de las escuelas. Y por favor no me digan que en Kiki Camarena no pueden hacer nada porque ya se van a mudar, porque esa historia me la sé desde hace 10 años. Necesitamos instituir a otro SRO, que nuestra agente Vega hace excelente trabajo y lo agradecemos mucho, la comunicación es muy buena. El señor Hernández de igual manera. Todo el tiempo están muy al pendiente de nosotros los padres, pero necesitamos más apoyo. Necesitamos que otro SRO del distrito que trabaje directamente con los directores, que haya más comunicación y que este trabajo se expanda. Necesitamos instalación o actualización de las cámaras de vigilancia en todas las escuelas. Sabemos que se cuenta con el equipo, necesitamos que ese equipo funcione de manera integral, que sea algo general. Sobre todo necesitamos y solicitamos, por favor, detectores de metal en todas las escuelas, siendo con mayor urgencia la high school y las 2 junior high schools. Esto es una emergencia y necesitamos, por favor, nosotros como padres sentirnos seguros que nadie va a llegar con un arma, con nada que no sea permitido. Necesitamos que sea algo constante, no nada más porque hay una sola amenaza y ese día se van a revisar las mochilas, o que ese día nada más se va a intervenir con protocolos de seguridad. Necesitamos, por favor, que sea algo siempre constante. Necesitamos también personal de seguridad capacitado, más proctors y sobre todo en todas las elementaries. Eso es un factor muy importante para nosotros. Nosotros necesitamos sentirnos seguros. Necesitamos saber que allá adentro hay alguien capacitado, entrenado y sabrá manejar la situación de emergencia. Y también necesitamos más políticas más estrictas del control de acceso a todas las escuelas. Nos dimos cuenta del sistema de Raptor, pero también sabemos que cualquier persona puede entrar en el área cercana del estacionamiento, puede estar cerca del lobby, cerca de las oficinas, y nosotros necesitamos sentirnos más seguros. Les repito, por favor, no queremos más datos necesitamos datos que estén concretos, necesitamos fechas exactas, cuándo van a intervenir con estos planes y proyectos con datos concisos, Y les recuerdo, por favor, tienen todo nuestro apoyo como padres para trabajar en equipo. Muchas gracias.
Gracias. Rafael García. Go ahead.
Hello, Ms. Limon. Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Probably just as nervous as the lady that just got up right now. So the first things first, on safety, every time when I call to the school or the school district, I'm so frustrated already. My children, I was never into politics, but once my kids got into the schools and the school district, I started getting it more and more into it. And so I would ask the schools like, hey, do you guys not know about the different colors, for example, on the gang affiliations? And I could just go ahead and say it, so that way if you guys don't know, we'll go ahead and start off with the 3. It's Bloods, Crips, and Sureños. And then those are 3 colors, so it's blue, red, and also the navy blue. And I'm starting to see these kids and in these schools and whatnot, and then so it's like I always get the same answer, oh, we don't know, and this and that. Like the lady said, I always get told a bunch of stuff that, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, promises that you guys are not ever keeping. Now, my children have, my daughter is a very, very educated daughter, so I called into the police department the other night. I spoke with you, sir, the chief, and you also apologized to me because of what had happened with your guys' when I called 911 and I called over and over and over. I was just a worried parent, and I'm wanting to know what's going on because this is very serious. This is very, very serious. People don't think we live in the border. And then last year, you know, when I was going to the board meetings, they're talking about how the cartels are around and whatnot. It's facts, guys. It's facts. They're in your alleys. You guys just don't see it. You guys are very blinded to it. I don't know who's blinded, or you guys just look at it as an entertainment. But at the end of the day, it's my kids and all my kids' friends and whatnot that matter to me. So that's why I'm here standing up, and I got those 3 minutes. But here's how it goes. So what happened was I called to 911, and then, you know, I had the dispatcher just being, we don't know what's going on in the night. We're working the night shift. So you're telling me that whatever goes at night, you guys don't know what's going on, and you're telling me that what goes on in the day, you guys. So how is it, like the lady said, how is it that you guys are saying that you guys are so in communication with the police department and whatnot and back and forth and whatnot, but you guys, it's a lack. So that's another thing. All the taggings around all the rural schools, I'm fed up with it. It's a bunch of crayon writings around and I don't know how the school district doesn't work with the city to get those take them off immediately, because just imagine a child that goes to class and doesn't have no motivation at home. There's kids that go to school to live. There's kids that go to school to live. There was a child where my mom used to drive the bus, and the little girl died because her mom and dad didn't send her to school to get her asthma pumped that day. And the mom and dad obviously got arrested for that, right? So what I'm telling you guys is that there's kids that go to your guys' school district that need out of you guys need. And you know, and just imagine a kid that doesn't have nothing. They had a bad day. Their mom whooped them before they came to school, and they're looking out your guys' window, and all they see is these taggings that just, and like, that's my motivation. I'm not even paying attention to the teacher. I'm looking outside, and I could see these taggings, and maybe that's the route for me. And guess what? Those other people that are out there, the cartel and all these people, gang affiliated people, they look at that child and they said, I'm gonna grab him. He's mine. He's mine. And that's how it all happens. That's how it all happens, guys. I don't know if you know, but that's how it happens.
Thank you. Arlette?
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Arlette Daud. Me da gusto ver a personas, padres de familia público que conozco. Me da gusto también ver a los directivos, los cuales o he trabajado con ellos, porque he trabajado para 3 distritos diferentes del Valle Imperial, o mi hija ha asistido a las escuelas donde han sido directivos, la señora Limón, todos, buenas tardes. Vengo, pues, no como trabajadora en ningún distrito, ¿verdad? Vengo como madre de familia y vengo en representación de mi hija. Mi hija va en el grado 10. Le invité muy cordialmente que viniera. Me dijo que no se sentía cómoda de estar hablando en público, menos si lo iban a transmitir en YouTube. Dijo, mamá, si salgo en YouTube, mañana todos en la escuela me van a dar carrilla. Le invité a que me hiciera una carta. Dijo, mamá, pues es casi lo mismo. Voy a decir algunas de las palabras que ella me dijo ante la situación de estas últimas días o semanas. Primero que nada, quiero comentarles que cada individuo maneja o siente la situación desde diferente manera. Nosotros, o yo como padre de familia o madre de familia, la viví desde una manera, desde un punto de vista diferente. Ustedes como miembros, los directivos, los oficiales, El punto de vista que voy a comentar ahorita es desde el punto de vista de una estudiante asustada, de una estudiante que hasta el momento está esperando que alguien, digamos, de su escuela le diga que todo está bien, que todo va a estar bien. Lo mismo que estamos hablando aquí, pero a nivel escuela. Porque yo ahorita pudiera decirle, le invité a que siguiera el canal de YouTube. Hola, hija, si me estás viendo. Le invité, pero espero que esté siguiendo. Y si no, yo espero como madre y ella como alumna que alguien le diga lo que están diciendo aquí, con todos los recursos que la señora Limón comentó, el señor que olvidé su nombre, la señora Pineda. Gracias a Dios tenemos los recursos, esperemos nunca ocuparlos, pero si los ocupamos, espero que mi hija sepa que cuenta con ustedes. Lo ideal como padre de familia es revisar mochilas, laptops, ver con quiénes se juntan. No todos pueden y quieren. Yo tengo el privilegio de hacerlo y lo hago diariamente. Sin embargo, hay que ser realistas, hay que poner los pies sobre la tierra, que no todos los papás están al pendiente o pueden o quieren estar al pendiente de sus hijos. Somos los pocos los que revisamos mochilas, laptops, las amistades y todo lo que a nuestros hijos rodea. No todos lo hacemos. Entonces hay que ser realistas, las escuelas también tienen que ayudarnos, la educación empieza en casa, pero la escuela, por favor, ayúdenos a decirles a los muchachos que si están bromeando, jugando con esas cosas, va a haber consecuencias reales y que van a estar a salvo. Necesito saber qué es lo que va a pasar y mensajes en 30 segundos de ese día de mi hija. Mensajes, yo sé que van a decir, los niños no deben de usar el teléfono en el salón, pues algunos maestros lo permiten y es así. Mensajes reales, mamá, 9:15 de la mañana, sonaron la alarma, al parecer la de fuego, todo está bien, te amo, oh my God, está pasando lo que dijeron en el anónimo que todos anduvieron circulando, que iba a sonar la alarma de fuego, no nos dejan salir de los salones, mamá, dice la maestra que ese es el plan, que aunque sea el fire alarma no vamos a salir, mamá, la maestra nos está diciendo que lo que tenemos que hacer en caso de que esto fuera real, que tenemos que laquear la puerta, mamá, estoy asustada, dicen que tenemos que quebrar una ventana en caso de que sea eso, y realmente me preocupa mucho el hecho de que no es la única alumna asustada que estuvo ahí en el momento. Hay que ver el punto de vista de los alumnos que están asustados y otros tantos alumnos que no entiendo, no me cabe en la cabeza cómo pueden bromear, de decir, suena la alarma, empiezan a decir pánico, como dicen los maestros tratando de calmar a los alumnos, y hay alumnos que todavía bromean. ¿Cómo van a bromear a decir, ahí vienen por nosotros, nos van a matar? Pasó, creo que no sé si era un proctor o un policía al salón a asomarse, yo creo que pues de rutina, y algunos alumnos bromeando diciendo, acá está el que tiene el arma, vengan por él. O sea, eso no es para broma. O sea, yo sé que son muchachos, jóvenes, teenagers, lo entiendo perfectamente, yo pasé por esas situaciones, yo lo fui, a lo mejor también dice bromas de mal gusto. Sin embargo, en este punto en el que estamos, creo que los alumnos deben de tener una junta con sus directivos en sus escuelas y que les digan lo que nos dijeron aquí. Se cuentan con estos recursos, tranquilos, todo va a estar bien. Sin embargo, si hay quien está jugando con esto, no es un juego y va a haber consecuencias. Los alumnos deben de saberlo. Mi hija debe de ir sin miedo a la escuela. No es posible que mi hija, que es una alumna, pues los que la conocen brillante, y aunque no lo fuera, no importan los grados. Sin embargo, no está bien que mi hija vaya a la escuela con miedo y que llegue al grado de decirme, mamá, tuve una pesadilla, no quiero ir a la escuela mañana. Es inaudito, necesito que los directivos les digan a los alumnos en las escuelas todo lo que nos están diciendo, que debe estar bien y que se cuentan con tantos recursos y que los que osen, bromeen con esas cosas van a tener consecuencias. Porque aquí me están diciendo a mí y yo voy a decirle a mi hija y va a decirme mi hija, mamá, ya sé que voy a tener consecuencias, no lo voy a hacer. Pero y los miles de padres de familia que no están aquí, que no están conectados en YouTube, que ni siquiera ven a sus hijos porque trabajan, ¿cómo van a saber? Ese alumno va a decir, si llega la policía a arrestarlo, yo no sabía que iba a tener consecuencias, a mí nadie me dijo. Necesitamos que los directivos en las clases, pues no sé si en la que gusten PI, que no es que no sea importante la clase, sin embargo, ahorita que el clima no amerita que anden corriendo la milla, pues que se tomen el tiempo los directivos de las escuelas, en la clase de PI, agarrarlos y sentarlos en el auditorio y decirles todo esto que nos están diciendo, por favor, a nosotros. Mi hija ocupa ir tranquila a la escuela, sin miedo. Gracias.
Thank you. Zoe Garcia.
Muy buenas tardes, me da mucho gusto estar aquí con ustedes y verlos de frente otra vez. Y pues muchas gracias, veo que hay una muy buena comunidad de padres y de personas interesadas al respecto de lo que está pasando. Al igual que Stacy, que estuvimos hablando ahorita, estuvo presentando sus puntos de vista. pido también más SRO. La señora Vega ha hecho un trabajo excelente. Todos los días algo veo que va con su mochilita. No voy a preguntar de qué es la mochilita. Me puedo imaginar muy así vagamente que sea de vapings o algo por el estilo. Y ha hecho un muy buen trabajo. Ha dado muy buenas cátedras, ha dado muy buenas clases, pero sí se necesita más personal dentro de la escuela como un SRO. Ahorita pensando, tengo en mi mente que serían 2 más, que ella se quedará en la Calexico High School, y otro para Enrique Camarena y otro para Willy Moreno, y las personas que están, o el SRO que esté en Quique Camarena, se divida a las otras escuelas que están aledañas, igual que la que está en Willy Moreno, también se divida en las escuelas aledañas. ¿Por qué? Porque pues somos una comunidad de estudiantes de más de 8,000, 7,000 estudiantes. Para un solo SRO es demasiado. Entonces sí se necesita el apoyo tanto del distrito como de la ciudad. Esperemos que nos puedan escuchar un poquito. Y pedirle formalmente también el regreso de Safety Committee. Hace 2 años más o menos teníamos un comité donde nos sentábamos, platicábamos las cosas, nos enseñaron lo que era caput, todo lo que nos explicó Miss Limón, nos dijo, y todo eso nosotros teníamos una interacción con los papás y darles una mayor tranquilidad. Pero desde hace 2 años a la fecha ya no tenemos esa información. Entonces, ahorita tanto la señora Wens como su servidora hemos estado tratando de controlar lo que es la red social de WhatsApp, porque por más que le decimos a los papás, tranquilícense, si no viene por parte del distrito, si no viene la hoja membretada por el distrito, no es algo oficial, debemos de seguir las reglas, no nos escuchan, no nos hacen caso. Entonces se está creando una histeria y una psicosis social, y aquí el problema mayor es que no nomás es social, sino es que esa red es a nivel red social. Es algo que todos están luchando con algo que es invisible. Y ese es el principal punto. Entonces, yo sí creo muy importante que se regrese el comité de seguridad con los padres, maestros y comunidad estudiantil para poder difundir lo que se está haciendo. Les dije que no me pusieran los números. Que poder difundir lo que se está haciendo, lo que se está trabajando, con qué métodos se está haciendo todo esto y las finalidades. Porque muchas veces nosotros los papás vemos y queremos tener a alguien a quien culpar. Y por este caso, siempre es el distrito. Entonces, yo no creo que sea el distrito el que esté mal, pero tampoco creo que nosotros los papás hemos estado haciendo un trabajo mal. Simplemente que hay una descoordinación y tenemos que buscar el engrane perfecto para poder seguir caminando juntos, que ese es el principal motivo del distrito, caminar junto con los estudiantes y los estudiantes juntos con sus padres y los padres juntos con los distritos. Y pues nada, y muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. Andy Padulo.
Good afternoon, Andy Padulo, CHS High School. We have to come up with a disciplinary action plan with students who are bringing weapons and or making these threats. This has to be a collaborative effort, and it has to be done immediately. Otherwise, it's just going to snowball and get worse and worse and worse. There's things that we can implement, whether it's hundreds of hours of community service, whether it's not walking on stage to get their diploma, whether it's putting a red flag on their legal file so when they go get a job, apply for college, go anywhere, that flag is there. But something has to be done immediately. We have students bringing large knives to school, and they get a slap on the hand, 2 or 3 days suspension. We have students kicking administrators in the groin, making threats that they're going to shoot and kill you directly. This is in the past week. 2-day suspension, 3-day suspension. There has to be something else that we can input that's safe, secure, but at the same time, it sends a message. Is it possible to allocate more funds for more security personnel? Whether it's proctor, whether it's a full-time trained officer who's at the front gate, any extra help that we can allocate funds for as far as security goes. In the end, thank you for having this meeting, very important. In most of the ed codes, at the end of the ed code, it says our school administration, our school government has the final say. So hopefully we can work collaboratively and get something input for disciplinary action. Thank you.
Thank you. Xiomara Martínez.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Xiomara Martínez y estoy aquí porque mi niño tiene 7 años, es autista. Y me gustaría hablar sobre los entrenamientos con los niños con autismo, porque es muy difícil sacarlos de su rutina y hacerlos un lockdown. He estado trabajando para ACOE aquí en Calexico High School este año escolar que acaba de pasar. Y en verdad, aunque estén grandes, que tienen 19, 22 años, es muy difícil para ellos sacarlos de la rutina y hacer un entrenamiento de ASRP. Mi niño tiene 7 años y es mucho más difícil. Y trato de hacerlo en casa, pero necesitamos algo que alguien entrene como en la escuela, como a los papás, para los papás hacerlo con los niños. Como más entrenamiento para los papás, para que nosotros lo podamos hacer con ellos en casa. Y ellos no van a comprender cuando haya un lockdown o algo peor pase en la escuela. Eso es todo.
Thank you. Fabiola Calderón.
Buenas tardes, Fabiola Calderón, residente de Calexico. Mi comentario va a ser en español, dado al propósito de esta junta. Yo no tomé bien el nombre de la mamá de familia, de la mamá de la familia que se paró aquí. Yo quisiera hablar un poquito porque ella tocó algo muy importante, y también la mamá que acaba de pasar aquí. Es muy evidente que los padres de familia y los tutores legales de nuestros niños necesitan ayuda, necesitan de los recursos que el distrito escolar tiene para ofrecer. A mí me consta que el distrito cuenta con muchos administradores profesionales, con mucho conocimiento, muy profesionales, una calidad de conocimiento admirable, y los papás de familia los necesitan. Por ejemplo, yo como mamá de familia, yo tengo 3 hijos. Los 3 se graduaron de aquí, el último apenas en junio, ahora va a IBC. Yo soy mamá. Muchas veces creemos que todo está bien con nuestros hijos, porque aparentemente, externamente, todo aparenta que va bien. Y así lo dejamos, desatendemos, tenemos que trabajar, nos ocupamos en el día al día, pero no sabemos en realidad en qué están involucrándose, con quiénes se están afiliando, con quiénes están haciendo amistad, a qué están siendo expuestos. Y creo que necesitamos darles recursos a los papás de familia y enseñarles cómo, de una manera no agresiva, no atacante, sino con mucha gracia y con mucho amor, ver sus dispositivos móviles enseñarles a los papás cómo revisar los teléfonos, cómo poner parámetros en los teléfonos. Yo tenía una aplicación en los teléfonos de mis hijos que se llama Accountability to You, donde a mí me permitía poner límites en qué manera podían usar sus dispositivos mis hijos, que ellos puedan estar al tanto de una manera amorosa, discreta, que los niños no se sientan atacados, y darles esos recursos a los papás para que puedan darse cuenta a qué están siendo expuestos nuestros hijos. Muchos de nuestros papás son de habla español. Muchos de ellos no saben manejar profundamente los teléfonos, las laptops, las computadoras. Hay que enseñarles. Yo tengo la convicción de que la educación empieza en casa, sí. Yo tomo toda la responsabilidad del comportamiento de mis hijos, pero nuestros hijos están aquí una gran parte del día. Muchos de los niños empiezan desde las 7 de la mañana hasta las 6 de la tarde que termina el ACES. Esos son muchas horas aquí en la escuela. Entonces tenemos que trabajar con los papás, tenemos que darle los recursos y ser un equipo para bendición de nuestros niños. Gracias.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and move to D, board members' comments. Mr. Alvarado.
Well, good evening. Thank you for joining us here. It was a special board meeting that we wanted to inform the community what's going on out there. There's a lot of stuff that's going out there that's being shared on social media, and that's one of those things that I'm glad that it was touched on, because social media is not always factual. By you going around and posting it on social media is not helping any safety here at our schools. It's actually causing panic, causing our students to not be in a safe environment, and that's what we want. The reason why we're all here is for our students. It's for student safety. If we provide a safe environment for them, they're going to learn. They're going to learn better, and they're going to be not concerned with what's going on the outside. I am in agreement with Rafael, what you stated earlier about the graffiti around the schools. That's one of those things that I go on my 980s on my days off, and I drive around. Mr. Jimenez could attest to it. I send him the pictures. I tell him we need to work with the city. If they don't want to come out and do it, let's do it ourselves. I'm in agreement. If it's a block away, the schools need to do something about that. As far as that goes. Not only that, our parents, by you guys being here and letting us know what's going on, we know exactly what's going on. We know exactly what the students are feeling and stuff like that. I alone have my daughter that's at Cesar Chavez, and she told me the day that this came out, Dad, is this true? It's not true, I told her, right? But the thing about it is, as parents, we do need to do it at home. We need to show our kids how to behave at the schools and stuff like that. Arlette, I'm sorry for what your daughter went through. They're at the high school. That shouldn't be done. That's some of those things that we need to assure and work with our administrators, Mr. Moreno, as far as if a student does that, we can't allow that. ADA is not more important than our student safety. And that's one of those things that I have said, and that's one of those things since I've been on here, it's been student safety. I'm glad that the SRO's here, that we finally got the SRO, but that's something that we've been wanting for far too long. I understand that you guys are saying that you guys want another SRO. We're willing to give that other SRO. I'm willing to at least say that I'm willing to give the other SRO, but our city needs to work with us also as well, right? That's one of those things, because I know when this last SRO came up there, it was kind of one of those where if it was going to happen, it's not going to happen. I made it a point to attend the meeting to ensure that, it was approved, and it was approved. Am I in agreement that we have enough for 3 SROs? Not, but there's other things that we can do as parents. If you see something, say something. Rafael, I'll go back to you exactly what you said. You're going out in the community and stuff you see something, you have to say it. And heading back on our director of school safety, it's one of those things that I always ask. Does he go around all the school sites to see if there's any entry points, any exit points, if there's any breakage within the, our fencing areas? If there is, let's take account of it and let's fix it right away. Right, because the school safety is our number one concern. We don't want nobody to go in there that we don't know of, so as far as that goes. Safety is the biggest thing, and safety is one of those things that I'm always going to harp on. I want to thank our partners for being out here today. Thank you guys for being here and working with us. I understand that our SRO, along, Calexico Police, along with Border Patrol, you guys did conduct some stuff at the high school. And that's some of the stuff that our community doesn't know. And I think our community needs to be aware of that you know what, there is certain stuff, there is certain procedures that are already in place. God willing, that never happens. But you know what, as long as we have our partners there, it's our safety that we have, for our kids. Talking to Mr. Calderon, I told Mr. Calderon, go down to McKinley School in El Centro. And if you drive down it, they have like this little caseta. Everybody knows what a caseta is, right? Like a checkpoint area, right? So before you go into McKinley School, you have to actually check in. They buzz you in. There's somebody there. And that's one of those things that I think that we need as far as just to give the peace of mind to the parents, especially the parents for the kids that are in elementary. We need to start looking into that. Start having somebody there, you know what, during when the kids are getting dropped off, they're going to be in there. But you know what? It's going to be manned from 8 o'clock until your kids leave. There's going to be somebody there and stuff like that. If you're not on the system, we can't let you in and stuff like that. But as long as there's some type of communication, that way buzz them in. Another thing that I want to say, Mr. Padulo, I wasn't aware of what's going on there as far as the knives. And I think I'll be the one to say, if there is a knife on campus, that kid should be expelled. He shouldn't be in our district. And that's one of those things that I barely heard. That's one of those things that he shouldn't be there. I wasn't aware of that. I don't know if the other board members were aware of that. This is the first that I hear about that. And I don't want that. And that's why I said, and that's one of those things that I put under yours, is ADA is not more important than the safety. Not more important than the safety of the kids, also not more important than the safety of our teachers. Because you guys are out there, front line and stuff like that. If something happens, you guys are the ones that are going to be out there helping our kids to safety and stuff like that. So I apologize, and I'll make sure that doesn't happen. If there is kids bringing knives, and that's one of those things that we have to put on our next board meetings, you know what, make a policy and stuff like that, and that way we could get them out of here, because, there's no way that I could have somebody like that around our kids, and it's not going to happen. As far as the gang affiliation and stuff like that you brought up also as well, there is a lot more stuff like that I've been seeing driving around. There's a lot of our kids that are out there, but the thing about it, it's at home. At home, we have to make sure that, we stop that. This is not, it's how can I say it? We need to stop it. If we don't stop it, it's going to keep on going on forever and ever. So my thing is, safety is the number one concern, and safety is my number one concern while I'm here and stuff like that. I worked for probation for over 20 years, so I understand how this comes and stuff like that as far as that goes. And parents, thank you guys for being here. And thank you for letting us know exactly what's going on. I did take notes of your guys' concerns, and that's something that's going to be addressed. Rest assured that's going to be addressed, even if it's for the rest of my time that I'm here till the end of the year, if God willing, to, get back on here. But if not, I'll make sure that there's something in place as far as, when I'm out there, as long as when the next person comes in, they can go ahead and carry that also as well. But thank you all for being here, and I appreciate your guys' feedback also as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Calderon?
Well, I don't think I can match that one. No, good evening, everyone, and thank you for showing up. I want to thank Mr. Jimenez, his staff, and all our law enforcement family, because this was just planned this Friday, and today we meet here. And I want to assure you, all your parents that are here, that this is serious. This is why we're here, because we want to hear your voices. We want to improve our schools, but most important, because we are a family. And I'm going to prove it to you tonight. For those that are in the audience that work for the school district, please stand up. If you work for the school district of Calexico, please stand up. These are principals, these are teachers, this is food services. Everybody's here because we care. Because when you drop your kid to us, it's very important. Priority and the safety of our kids are important. We also have our two city councilmen here. Please stand up, Mr. Legaspi and Mr. Garcia. This is why it's so important. We have people in our community coming in to make sure that our kids, our district, is safe. We have our chief here of police, works with Ms. Vega, and make sure that every day we're safe. So we're taking notes, and hopefully we can improve our safety. We have improved a lot, but we're not perfect. So hopefully with your input, we can better our schools and make them safer. And one last thing, I do want to apologize because it's a good meeting, but we didn't get you a translation person for those that don't understand or speak English. That's the only thing we missed tonight. But I assure you that next meeting, we'll have someone that will be able to translate these important words, not only from our parents, but our law enforcement family, and Mr. Jimenez, which is important, who's driving the bus for this school district. So again, thank you for showing up, and we will have these meetings again because it's important to keep our schools safe and our personnel safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pacheco?
It's coming down to having a metal detector, I think, now at the high school and junior highs, because if these people are coming in with metal objects like knives, we need to make sure that they come into school and there's something there that's going to beep or tell us, hey, this guy's got metal on him, or this individual has something. So we need to have something that's going to, it's come to the point, I think, that we need to have and start this at the schools, high school and junior highs, to make sure that the parents are thinking, if there's something in that backpack, va a salir en la máquina. Cuando entren, va a sonar, hay algo, mi hijo, vente para acá, sacar las cosas, a ver qué tienes. So it's going to come down to that because we're getting larger and larger. El problema del SRO es que el problema es con la ciudad, los policías, no hay suficiente policía. Ese es el detalle. Tenemos que tratar de conseguir más personal, y si hay dinero, podemos contratar otra persona como un SRO, pero eso es trabajar con la ciudad. We're short-handed, no hay suficiente patrolmen. We're short-handed. Estamos cortos en esa área de la policía. So when they're saying, hey, no, I'm sorry, we've only got so many out there in patrol, and that's our city for right now. But we need to make it an effort to put in some more money into the law enforcement for the city. A lot of disciplinary concerns that were heard, and I think we're going to come up with something to make sure that individuals that kick an administrator don't spend 2 days home and then come back to the school site. I mean, that is a notion that we're not going to stand, and we got to protect our staff and our students, and we want to make sure that the personnel are safe at school. Otra cosa, pues, teniendo esto, hablando con ustedes, nos dan conocer lo que les está un problema. Aquí estamos para oírlos, y ojalá podamos trabajar juntos y tener este tipo de juntas para sacar ideas y cómo vamos a sacar y promover las cosas mejor. So aquí, school safety first. The child comes first. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Contreras?
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody that was able to make it here today and was able to talk and give us their input on all this information. I don't just want to echo everything that they say, but we want to make sure that, you know, there's a responsibility that comes with from our end. You know, this is why we're having this meeting, you know, and us being able to make sure that, you know, we're meeting our end on the safety part of the district, right? Not only for our students, but also for the parents. You know, I know that kids get affected, you know, just on the way we respond to certain things, right? Kid that might be bringing in a knife into a classroom or in with them, you know, yes, there needs to be some type of a punishment, but then we also need to find out why that kid was bringing that, right? And what type of resources they need, right? Because it's easy for us to say, hey, let's just get rid of them, you know, get them out of the district, right? But what's happening at home, what's happening, you know, with that kid's life, you know, it's our added responsibility, like Mr. Pacheco just said, right? The kids are our responsibility, and we need to do everything we can for them, right? A la señora Holguín, gracias por sus palabras al principio. Pienso que sí hay mucha información que tenemos que proveer a los papás, ¿verdad? De las cosas de las que habló usted, hay la cosa del metal detectors. Yo sé que eso es algo necesario, y es algo que vamos a estar trabajando para eso. En lo que son las cámaras, hace poquito nos dieron unos updates en lo que son las cámaras, pero yo pienso que en el área de seguridad, de las cosas que sí tenemos disponibles y el uso, estaría interesante de nosotros dar un quarterly review, algo cada 3 meses o algo así, para que sepan qué es lo que se ocupa. I want to say also to Ms. Calderon, Fabiola, you're right. The parents we're here. The parents, we have to, as parents, be the front line for our kids when we do drop them off at school. And then it becomes the responsibility of the school, right? But we need to continue to work together. With all the partners, the chief being here, everybody else taking their time, we need to make sure that, the list of resources that was given, it's there, right? That there is a lot more resources that deal with safety, right? To try to prevent this incidents from happening, right? I know that everybody talked really good about Officer Vega, and Officer Vega wears that patch that says Calexico PD, right? Because that's her job is with Calexico PD, and she is our officer assigned to us. And like Mr. Pacheco was saying, right, we need more, but then this is where the multi-departments, our school district with the city, with the police department, we just need to work together to try to get a little bit more officers on site, right? Antes no teníamos una oficial, ¿verdad? Hace poco que empezó, pero sí miramos la diferencia, ¿verdad? Entonces, muchas de las cosas en el área de seguridad, de lo que estamos ya en alerta o ya sabemos, es por las acciones de ella, por las acciones de la Miss Limón, el señor Hernández, ¿verdad? La colaboración que tenemos con el Departamento de Policía. Entonces, entre más buscamos, más cositas salen, ¿verdad? Desafortunadamente, pero estamos haciendo algo al respecto de eso. Nomás le pido a los papás de que cuando miren algo, que lo reporten, ¿verdad? Si les incomoda lo que pusieron ahí en Facebook o Twitter, lo que sea, ¿verdad? Llámenos. Como dijo el señor Jiménez, él nos informa, si son las 9, 10 de la noche y nos manda algo, acaba de pasar esto, le damos luz verde para que jale el personal que se ocupe para que empiecen las investigaciones y todo eso, ¿verdad? Pero no podemos hacerlo solos, ¿verdad? Estaríamos un poquito desilusionados de decir, hey, mañana se va a resolver todo esto, porque no es cierto, ¿verdad? So just to close with that, I just want to make sure that, everybody that's here, it's important. Those that are listening to us, they're important. But the most important thing is that when this type of issues happen, that you inform us right away so that we're able to take care of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Buenas tardes a todos. Pues primeramente le quiero agradecer a todo el personal que pudo trabajar rápidamente desde el viernes para poder hacer esta presentación muy importante para la comunidad. Y a todas las personas que hablaron, todos sus comentarios son muy importantes. Y la persona que mencionó, creo que fue a Arlet, de que se tiene que hacer presentaciones a los estudiantes, y que lo que mencionó Mr. Padulo, what you mentioned, that we do have to have a very serious discipline action when these type of things happen. There was the latest policy adoption was in 2010. We definitely need to look at that. We have to have very serious consequences, as well as what Mr. Contreras mentioned, that how are going to be helping our students regarding that. Mrs. Zoe and I believe it was Stacy that mentioned, Zoe y Stacy mencionaron que ocupamos una otra SRO adicional, y al parecer toda la mesa directiva está de acuerdo en eso. Entonces vamos a buscar que eso pase lo más pronto posible, ¿verdad? Y había una persona, Kiomara, me voy a encargar de que nos pongamos de acuerdo con usted y cualquier otra padre que necesita algún tipo de entrenamiento. También sé que hay entrenamientos que se les da a los papás, a la comunidad. De hecho, el oficial Hernández ha hecho entrenamientos como de safety, no solamente pues al personal del distrito, sino a papás también. So, vamos a anotar. Hice varias notas, y por favor, sigan viniendo a las juntas. Es importante saber qué es lo que pasa, cómo lo miran, de qué punto de vista lo miran. Y es importante para mí, para el resto de la mesa directiva, para poder hacer un ajuste, un cambio o algo adicional. Muchas gracias por estar aquí. So se concluye esta junta. This meeting is going to end. Please go ahead and scan. Can we put that picture again? Scan so we can have comments, answer questions, que puedan comentar, contestar esas preguntas, porque es muy importante, no solamente las personas que están aquí en el público, sino los que están mirando aquí en YouTube. Please go ahead and help us with your feedback. Oh, okay. It's in the PowerPoint. Sí. Sí, de hecho, nos encanta que vengan estudiantes, que hablen, que que comenten. El punto de vista es muy importante. Sí. So, adjournment. Motion by Mr. Calderon, second by Mr. Pacheco. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Adjournment.
Sir? Good. How are you doing?